that way. But you're going to need that. If you're really going to manage your parts department right, you really need some business management software to help you do it with, so you can tweak and you can do that stuff with. Make sense? All right, let's keep on here. So let's talk about whole goods now. So basically whole goods act as that fuel for the dealership to keep everything going. So I tell my dealers what I really want to have happen is I want to have my service and my parts department cover 70% of my total cost of my dealership. So I want you to think about this. I want my service and parts department to cover, absorb is the word that we use, absorb 70% of the total cost of my dealership. I only want to have to depend upon 30% of all my money for my dealership to come from my whole goods. Because here's the fundamental problem you have with whole goods. Whole goods are economy and weather related. Would you agree? I don't care how good a price you have on a mower, if it hasn't rained in 8 months, it ain't going to sell. My guys that I was just at up on the East Coast, they have, hopefully, well, they won't tomorrow because they got that storm coming through up there, but I mean, they literally have dozens and dozens of snow throwers that are sitting there ready to go, and a lot of them were from last year. And I had the guy who was at up in Massachusetts said, you know, I lowered my price below my cost and they still wouldn't sell. People don't buy snow throwers in February if it's not snowing, right? It's just not that kind of business. So I tell people again, so whole goods have a weather factor and they have an economy factor, and you can't control either one of those two things. I don't care how good you are in business, you can't control those two things. They just are what they are. So what we have to do is we have to build our dealership knowing that whole goods will happen, right? If everything's good, you're going to sell equipment. Would you agree? Right? If it's raining good and grass is growing, you're going to sell equipment. But if it's not raining and things like this, you're going to sell less equipment. But service and parts kind of continue to happen. So you got to keep those two pieces going there. So that's what we've got to look at whole goods. Now, when we think about whole goods, we have to understand people. So I tell people again, the most important thing to understand about people is people are not logical. When you're selling, when you're thinking about people, we tend to think about whole goods as this logical thing. Well, I have this Walker mower, and here's the features and benefits of it, and all these things like this. People don't care. People are not logical. One of the mistakes we make when we're selling and when we're doing our showroom is we tend to think, I need this stuff up to explain all the features of this stuff. People don't buy logically, they buy emotionally. I've been in selling since 1973, and I learned a long time ago that if I'm excited about what I'm selling, when I'm talking to people about what I'm excited about, guess what they get? I hope in here, I've been here almost 4 hours. I hope you get a sense that I really like working with dealers, and I have a passion for serving. Because if I'm excited about it, hopefully you'll say, oh, well, that guy's excited. You know, I'll drink some of the Kool-Aid with you. So I tell people again, so it's understand it. It's like relationships. How many people in here have someone that you care for that cares for you? Let me see your hands. How many people in here pick that person logically? How many of you did it emotionally? Now that you've given us some thought, how many we should have done it logically? We don't do things based upon logic, we do it based upon what? Emotion. And that's what selling's all about, selling whole goods. Selling whole goods is not about selling a piece of iron. Selling whole goods is about selling excitement, selling what it can do. I would venture to say Bob is the best salesperson that Walker Mower has. You know why? Because Bob is passionate about what? Walkers. And you think when he's talking to somebody about Walker, it comes across? Sure it does. Sure it does. They're not buying the equipment, they're buying his what? Excitement and passion. I tell people it's the same thing. So when we think about selling, what we've got to do is think about, we're having people come into a showroom that's just kind of all laid out, but it's just kind of logical. There's no excitement to it. So part of what we have to do to sell is to create excitement. And you have to understand that people buy experience. One of the things that I learned a long time ago in business is what we're selling is not a mower, we're selling an experience. We're selling an experience in our business. People buy that experience. And what kind of experience do people want? Oops, I'm sorry. What kind of experience do people want? Well, people want an experience where they feel what? Good. Nervous and anxious, sick and diseased. You want people to walk in your dealership and be like, I don't know what it is about this place, but it makes me, it's creepy. You're not going to sell that, right? Right? You want people to come into your dealership and feel what?
Good.
You need to think about this for a second. This is the whole essence of who you are. When people come into your dealership, they have an experience. Our job as dealers is to create the right experience. Right now, most of them walk into your dealership and they feel like they're in a dealership. It smells like a dealership. It looks like a dealership. It's just a dealership, and there's really no experience associated with it. Yet we just said that people are not logical. They're what? Emotional. What kind of experience do we want people to have? It's a very basic one. We want people to come into our dealership and feel secure. Because people will give you money when they feel secure. The more secure they feel, the more often they will give you what? Money. People don't give money to people that they don't trust. Would you agree? So security is something we want. We want security because at one time we had it, and then we lost it. Does anybody remember when you were absolutely, totally secure, wanted for nothing? Anybody know when that was? It's for about 9 months. Does that help narrow it down any at all? For 9 months of your life, you were absolutely, totally secure. When was that 9 months? When you were in your mother's womb. Okay? Now let me ask you a question. When you were in your mother's womb, did you have a pretty good deal going on? I mean, think about this. You had a 9-month lease on an apartment that just wouldn't quit. Right? I mean, you were plugged into a refrigerator you never had to stock. Right? You didn't owe anybody any money yet. Temperature was controlled. You're never too hot or too cold. Right? Had your own pool. You there? You guys follow me on this one? Are things going good for us? Things are going great for us, all right? All of a sudden, about 9 months into this deal, you get an eviction notice. You don't know who it is, but somebody's telling you it's time to leave. Now, you're hanging out, things are going good, all of a sudden, you're starting to get shoved toward the door. As you get closer and closer to the door, you start hearing voices. You hear a woman's voice that you're going to later learn to call mom, say to a man's voice you're going to later learn to call dad, something like this. Do you ever touch me again? I'll kill you. Something like that. Some of you turned around at that moment. You were called breach. But unfortunately for you, the evictor was strong, and the next thing you know, you're out the door and in the hands of a outdoor power equipment professional, or a doctor. Maybe that's what it was. And what's the first thing a doctor does when you get in their hands? They hit you. Right? And then they do what? Cut the what? The cord. And that's the moment. The moment the cord is cut is the moment that you lose your what? Security. Right? You're now detached from the one thing that you've known total security with. And for the rest of your life, until the day you die, you're going to be walking around with an invisible umbilical cord in your hand going, you look like mom. That's everybody wants to read. That's just a terrible thought. Actually, she didn't think it was bad until I said you look like mom. That was when everything started to fall apart. So I tell you didn't even know I was going to be talking about that today, did you? It's all about parts and service. Oh, well, we'll figure it out. At some point, it'll all come back together. So I tell all my dealers, I said, so here's what I want you to think about. So when people come into your dealership, I want you to see, in your mind, they're walking into the court, right? And they're walking in and they're looking for what? Mom. Okay, so now, do you have some of your customers that are already plugged into you? Absolutely. I will tell you right now, about 25% of your customer base already believes you are mom. Okay, and they're loyal to you, aren't they? And they come in and they don't say, well, this is what I'm going to pay. They say, what do you think I ought to buy? Right? What do you think I ought to do? And when you make a suggestion, they go, okay, well, if that's what you think, that's what I'll do. Those are what we call, they're secure. They are loyal customers to us. The challenge is it's only about 25% of it. My question to you is, what would happen if we could take that number from 25 to 50%? Because what do loyal customers do? See, this is where I said before, we don't want satisfied customers. We want what? Loyal customers. What's the difference between loyal and satisfied customers?
Customers get more pearls.
What do they do? What do loyal customers do? They tell other people about you. What do satisfied customers do? They just come back. They're satisfied. The trouble with satisfied customers, it's not difficult for me to make them more satisfied with me than they were with you. And not because you did a bad job. I just offer them something that's unique, different, something different. I'll give you a good example. I have a guy that I have to do some of the services stuff on some of my stuff, and he's got a gas station, and he does some basic stuff for me, but I've been doing business with him for years. If my kids ever had any small problems with cars or stuff, they would take it over there. It's called Sam's Service, and it's just a great place. I tell people at my church, if you need something, just go over to Sam's. They'll take care of you. You can trust them. So here a few years back, they had a gas station, kind of a small service thing to do that. Here a few years back, there's a chain in the Midwest called Quick Trip. And there's this huge chain of gas stations. I mean, they're really neat, and They're great and they're clean. I mean, they're huge. And they've got thousands of them across the Midwest and down into Texas. And one of them came across the street from him. So they bought this land, and money's no object. They just buy the land, bulldoze it down, and do it. But what they're known for is they basically, the moment they come in, whoever else is competing with them on gas down there, they're going to drop their price down, and they're going to leave it down there as long as they have to until everybody comes down to their price. And then they basically are saying, look, we're the sheriff in town now, and we're going to set the price of gas. And then when everybody finally comes down, they move their gas back up. And then everybody's given permission to do what to their gas? Move it back up. And from that point on, who's going to set the price for gas? Because this store here will sell gas at a loss until you just simply go out of business if they have to. They don't care, right? Okay, which is fine. It's competition. That's what it is. I don't have a problem with it. But what happened is there was a lot of people that used to buy gas, because this is where I buy all my gas and stuff from, and he does my basic services and things like this. And there's a lot of people that used to do business and buy gas over here that now started going across the street to this new big fancy store. And so I was talking to this guy, and I said, well, how's this doing? He said, I said, we've lost a lot of our gas customers. They still are service customers. We lost all our gas customers. And he said, how come you don't go over there? And I said, well, because you've taken care of me for 20 years. I said, I don't care if you're 10 cents a gallon higher in gas. Right? It's not the money, it's the fact that if I've ever needed something, you've done what? Taken care of it. My daughter's been out driving a car, and she pulls in for gas, and you notice the tail light is out. I had it happen one time. He walked up and says, I said, you need a tail light, and let me go get one. I'll put it in. I'll catch your dad when he's here the next time. Right? What kind of value does that have for me as a father that travels all the time? He has my undying loyalty. I don't care what they charge over there. I'm that 25% that's going to keep doing what? And who's talking about him all the time to other people? At church, if somebody at church says, you got to get stamps. They'll take care of it. You can trust them. You can trust them. So I tell you again, I'm what you want. Okay, the other people were satisfied, right? They didn't dislike him. They were satisfied until what came along?
Better deal.
So I tell all my dealers, satisfied doesn't mean loyal. Satisfied doesn't mean loyal. I want the loyal.